Yeah, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker today for the Off the Lips session. Everybody knows that surfing and waves in JBay is great. But turns out there's also a lot of really great nature nearby. However, it can be a little bit difficult to find and discover, as I found out myself. So I've been looking. I know in every place you go, there's always that one person who's super curious, super adventurous, and they know everything about all of the adventures to be had in the area. I've been looking for that person. And then I met Rehgert. Rehgert, he's a friend of the Green Room. He was probably one of the first people to walk through the door when we opened. Just curiously checking out what's going on. The other day I asked him about adventures in the area, and he whipped out a map full of points and dots and notes and scratchings, and I knew, finally I found that guy. So we've invited Rehgert to come and talk about some of his adventures and curiosities. I'm going to start, like we always do, by asking what you're doing in JBay, and then after that, if you can share some of your experiences with us.
Epic. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, my name is Rehgert. So I do Aleph Surf, which is a community-based outreach project. We work here in Jeffreys Bay, but also a lot around Africa. So Jeffreys is a good base for us to be from, and of course, just it's such a great place and space to be in. We've got a little office on the second floor next to the dance studio. It's been we used to have a little facility at the back, but we're really close by, so we've been enjoying having part of the village vibe over here. But as Michael said, I do love adventure. They didn't have to bribe me too much. I think the food came later when they said, there's going to be some food for you. So I was like, sweet, that's a little extra push. But yeah, I just love adventure. I think for us in South Africa, we are so spoiled with choice. We have so many options to do, and especially here, I grew up in Herald's Bay in George, so I've always been close to the ocean. And now at this stage, being here as well, we always kind of revolve around the beach and the tides. But there's so much more than just the surf and the area. We actually are like one of the most diverse areas in South Africa, nature-wise. We've got 7 out of the 8 biomes that's right here in a kind of 2-hour space around us. And for those of you who don't know, who knows what the biome is? Have you heard of it a little bit? It's like a cluster of like fauna and flora of plants, animals, bird species. So the 7 ones, we've got fynbos, we've got nama karoo, we've got succulent karoo, we've got some subtropical thicket, get some grasslands, some savanna, and forests. The only one we don't have, who can guess what we don't have? Which one?
Do you have snow? Does that come with
Sometimes we got snow, but the opposite of snow and wetness is desert. We ain't got no deserts here. So 7 out of the 8, and that's amazing. It's like a 2-hour radius. You got so much diversity. But there are some factors that might influence you getting to these places. So I think the top ones is probably, have you got a car? Have you got a vehicle? Or you need to make a buddy to have a car. Do you have the right car? Because sometimes some of the places you need a 4x4. So if you want to go to Baviaans, maybe to Oosterbaai and the dunes, a few places you need to have the right vehicle. So that's a big factor. Third one is the gear. There's a lot of multi-day hikes you can do around the area, but you need the backpack, your little coffee. I know we all need our coffee on our camping adventures. So your cooking utensils, sleeping bags, stuff like that. Get your gear right. And the fourth one is prices. So there's a lot of things you could do for free, but most of the areas that's really epic, you got to go to the national parks or the conservation areas. So there's a conservation fee. So don't see it as a deterrent. It's actually great because you influence and you help invest in the conservation and in job creation. So rather see it as a contribution, and you're going to get blessed by that experience as well. So I've taken 4 areas that I really enjoy from Jeffreys Bay. So let's get stuck in it. Going west. We're going west. You end up in Plet. Who of you have done the Robberg hike? I recommend the Robberg. It's part of Cape Nature. It's that huge headland that goes out when you start getting into Plet. And it's actually this amazing little bay. There's a surf spot right in the area there called Wreck. Supposedly there's a boat wreck there. But it's on big east swells and big west swells with west winds. You get some great waves. But once you do the hike and you walk on the side and you see the seals and you see what's swimming on the side, you will think twice about surfing there, because they are like great white territory, and I've seen great white swimming there on the side. So you have a very good chance of like doing that hike all around the headland. The other side's epic because it's got this kind of section where the two land masses come together. So recommend that Cape Nature. From Cape Nature you head to town. I mean, Plet just for a stopover is great. Like it's got a little wine scene as well for those that enjoy going to some wineries like K Monty and Lodestone and a few other places, so check it out. But my wife's personal favorite, Nature's Valley. I would suggest going there if you haven't been yet. Nature's Valley, it's where the ocean meets the forest. It's just the lagoon, the river, mountains, Sitikama mountains in the back. And there's so many options from there. The Otter Trail ends over there. So you can do kind of from the beach, you can see where the people are going to finish their hiking. You get to hike a little bit of it, and there's around it. Our favorite one is Salt River. So the Salt River hike where you go actually through the Kalander Kloof, which is old Yellowwoods. And you get on top of the grasslands and you go down and you get to that little epic beach. It always reminds me of the movie The Beach. It's like that little separate little space that's sometimes so quiet and alone. But you can get lost. Just go camp in Vassalot. It's a Sandparks campsite, so go camping there if you're in the forest. You can also do the Titicama Trail. It's a multi-day hike. It's 2 to 5 days. You can choose how it goes, but it's part of Cape Nature. Also, you can book through them, and that doesn't go coastline because Otter Trail is usually booked a year in advance. Like it's very hard to find a spot. So this one's a little bit more accessible, and you can go kind of mountainside from Nature's Valley. You end up in Storms River petrol station, like that gas station there. Titicama, interestingly enough, is a Khoisan word. It means place of abundant waters, and when you go there, you definitely see why. It's so green, so lush. That whole coastline is amazing. There are snow-capped mountains at times, so it feels like you're in a little mini Europe with green grass fields with the snow. And then you get to all the places like Storms River. I believe a lot of you have been there. People love to Instagram it on the suspension bridge, get the shots. But it is a special place, really, to hike around there and go to the waterfall for the day, go swimming, have a picnic. It's really something special. That's part of Sandparks, so you will have to pay admission on that side. But Storms River Village, who's been there? It's been a couple. Storms River Village also, there's some Plaatbos. There's a major forest, indigenous forest that's there. You can actually go park your car in the village and from there go past the staff housing through a gate. There's 3 or 4 different ones that you can do, and there's actually also the old Storms River Pass goes through there. So that one's for free, and there's great pizza and breweries and stuff there as well, like the little spot in Storms River. So that's west side. We're going north now. So north, definitely only one spot, Baviaanskloof. So make a friend with a 4x4. So if you don't have one, make a plan, because it's definitely, you need something with high clearance, but well, it really, it's for a reason. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Again, the biomes, this place is like, I don't know, 250,000 hectares. So it's like 7 out of the 8, and there's different varieties of landscape you get there. There's animals, Cape buffalo, there's kudus, there's baviaans is a nickname for a baboon, so you'll definitely get loads of those. But just going over the river, I haven't seen water there for a long time because of the drought, but in the past there were some hairy river crossings you got to do. My first time going around that bend through the reed section, and you see like flip, I don't even know where this is ending. I can't see the end of this. The water goes up to my door. So it was daunting, but it's part of the adventure. Interesting enough, I had a cutout in a river as well with my bucky. I went too fast and the water went over my engine. I got stuck in there. But like in my engines, I can just put in first gear, and without the clutch, you yank it out. So you just like jerk out, open it up, let the sun dry your engine, and there you go. So there's definitely a lot of fun that you can have in that place, but take your time. A lot of people want to rush through it. Really take time, go camping. There's a leopard trail that's part of Go Baviaans at the Cedar Falls. It's a 3-day or 3-night, 4-day hike. It's about 2,400, but they also do your pleasure by carrying your bags for you, so you just need your day packs. It's But get some friends together, a minimum of 6, and it's well worth it to do it. It's really taking your time and being so immersed in that wilderness, it's hard to come by. So definitely do the Baviaanskloof. And you end up actually on the other side going through Willowmore and through the Karoo, and then you see a whole different world again, going back Uniondale through the Langkloof. So special. So we got Groendal Nature Reserve, Uitenhage, not a place everyone wants to go to, but just go for Groendal. It's really special. It's a real wilderness area, 30,000 hectares. It's the third biggest in the country. And there's a 16-kilometer hike that you can do. This one is part of Eastern Cape tourism, so it's a lot less conservation fees than you have to pay. But it's a 16-kilometer loop hike that you can do, and you actually end in a space where you can do multiple day hikes there as well. There's no overnight huts, so you've got to take everything you need, like take your sleeping bag, you sleep under the stars or in a cave or somewhere, but it really is special. And get a couple of friends and do that one. I could recommend it. The longest one is about 38 kilometers that you can do, but you get your permit at just before that Swartkops River. As you get into Uitenhage, turn left on the dirt road for about 10-12 k's and you get there. And then lastly I wouldn't say lastly, almost. Like if you can go east, everyone's been to Addo. It is really third biggest national park in the country. My wife's so over it because she's like, oh, Addo again. And I was like, man, I just like that space because there's always something different I see. And it's very rarely that you can have such close interactions with animals. I've been to a few game parks in Botswana, Zambia, all the places, but it's hard to get to. And then accessibility of Addo and what you see is really special. And take your time there again. Don't just rush through it. Just switch the car off and listen and set your time and watch this interaction of the animals. But not a lot of people actually go to the north of Addo. There's Zierkop Mountain. That's the northern part of the section of Addo, and there's a hiking trail that you can do going through the valley there on top of the mountains, and there's heaps of old cycads, which is very endangered indigenous plants. And just taking the moment to go through there, it's a really special place. There's an old hotel village there. After a very wet run, we went for some soup and bread and snacks over there. I can recommend it. Just do that hike and then go hang out this old ancient. It used to be the old road that connected before the N10 was built. Like that was a dirt road everyone took. So it's quite historic. And so definitely do Zierkop. You can even do a Domkrag Dam. It's another 4x4 route that's a bit further. But the last part of Addo is Alexandria that I can recommend. Is Alexandria hiking trail. It's overnight. You start from Woody Cape, so on the way to Kenton-on-Sea, there's Alexandria town, and you start your hike through the forest, through the grasslands, and eventually you get to the coastline. You keep going on this coastline for kilometers until you get to the dune fields, and some of the biggest dune fields, like active dune fields in the southern hemisphere. And really, when you get and walk there, like it feels like you're in Arabia or desert, huge. You can just see these dunes. You can't even see the horizon. So it's so special to have that. You just kind of, I was like, yesterday I was in Yellowwoods and Milkwoods and all this stuff, and now I'm in complete different world. So they say it's 32, but prepare yourself more like 38. So don't start, when am I going to get there? Like this keeps going and going. So get a couple of friends. You book that through Sandparks, through the Addo section like Mathieu Weni. You go book through them, and it's cheap. It's like 200 Rand for the night, and then plus your conservation fees, which is incredible to do. And then lastly, I would say local is lekker. Like JBay got so much to offer. Like we just kind of get bored. Like, oh, it's onshore. There's nothing to do. Or it's flat. But actually, when it's flat and the water's clear, just get a pair of goggles and actually go swim in the rock pools and in between, from supers all the way down to past point. Such a wonderful, colorful world underneath there that you can go. Just go take that time and appreciate. Go walk on low tide. Actually, you can have a couple of friends walk out to Gamtoos, Rivermouth. I wouldn't do it alone. Just have a couple of friends together. Take a lot of sunscreen, water, and it's don't do it when it's gale force offshore winds. Don't recommend it. And lastly is the Kabeljous Nature Reserve. That's really when I need my fix of nature. It's a place that I go to. We often go trail running in there. There's lots of trails and parts you can go to, but the big thing is that actually just sit and watch and listen. I've seen fish eagles Hamerkoppe. I've seen so much variety of little animals and things there. And it's right there, and it's run by a group of volunteers. It's locals in JBay. And I would encourage you, if you want to contribute to something good and bless this town as well, like when you get to the Kabeljous part, just go, snap scan and donate to what these people are doing. They're doing a great job just taking care of it. And don't think that you can't do it just because you don't have money or car. Like, really just look in front of you and start doing it, and from there on make friends with the right people. But don't let this opportunity miss out on what you have to access right on our doorstep. There we go. Geez, if I can, I'll do every weekend. But I try to do at least once a month, like something, and especially the hiking trails where you overnight. I've done it usually January, February, March is good times to do it, those Alexandria hikes. And Otter Trail, also just go in sandparks and I always look for a gap. If someone cancels, then I jump on it. I just go for it. But the local ones, it's close enough, and just do it every week. Even if I just drive out to St. Francis, it's a nice day trip. Stayed in the caves, the Makadat caves. It was fun. It depends on if you're very worried about creepy crawlies. Because you are in this giant cave right there, and it's like spider webs and things that's there. But it's awesome to have this experience. We have a bed in a cave, and you're right in the mountain cliff. So I can recommend. We did the open one. There's some that's like little cabins that's built in, so you have a little bit more protection from the elements. But there's that one. Usually the beginning as well. Kouga is a good one to go to if you don't want to do the whole Bavians. It's a nice intro to it. And then there's a couple of campsites actually in that you can book through Visit Eastern Cape, like through the Bavians Kloof Reserve itself, and they're way more secluded in the wilderness. Good website, is like visiteasterncape.co.za. Like, they got all the info as well. I think like driving down into Nature's Valley the first time. That's really incredible. Like, when you go there, we were there on a kind of I think it was the day as well, because it was kind of this foggy, misty day that you go down and you don't know, but it's just this forest and the sounds and the smells that you have. So that one is really, really special. And the next day was cleared out, so just seeing the lagoon and you stand back and seeing Tsitsikamma Mountains in the back, like that's pretty incredible. And then like game viewing wise, like a black rhino in Addo. It's like I never thought I'd see it, but it's there. They hide. There's actually Addo, they call the Big Seven, because they include Addo goes right to the ocean, so they include great whites and whales in it as well. But yeah, surprisingly, it's right there, Big Five. Lucky enough to see all of them. So I would say like the black rhino and then the Nature's Valley the first time.
Awesome.
Yeah, and which one? The Robberg one, yeah. You just also drive out. And most of the stuff is pinned on Google Maps, so just look around in it and find it from there, and just drive out, take the time.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Rehgert, for joining us and coming and sharing all of that with us today. And thanks everyone for coming. Until the next Off the Lips.
Shot julle. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks so much, Steve. Wow.